Sooner fans, Longhorn Nation, welcome to episode 91 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, Army and Navy have issued the uniforms for their annual Army-Navy game on December 9th. Army is sporting the Desert Storm 3rd Infantry Division themed uniform, while Navy is featuring a Silent Service, aka Submarine Service themed uniform. Kevin, there are 3 acceptable answers to the best submarine movie in the Navy of all time. What are those 3 movies, Kevin?
Well, Crimson Tide, right?
Number one,
Okay.
and Forever the Champion.
And really, I mean, for me, that's where it almost starts and ends.
Hunt for Red October is pretty good, Kevin.
That is good too.
Hunt for Red October is very, 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 very good. And
That's Sean Connery, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sean Connery? Yeah.
Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin before he got weird. Let me think. James Earl Jones makes an appearance in that movie. He's really, really good. That is a classic one. Not as good as Crimson Tide. And then lastly, OUvTCU is really more of an honorable mention because it was the only other one I could think of. But those are 1 and 2. Clearly 1 and 2. Okay, now let's shift to Army movies. Kevin, give me your 3 favorite anytime, it doesn't have to be Desert Storm, any Army movies.
Saving Private Ryan was good.
Saving Private Ryan makes the list. That's correct. You get 2 more.
I also liked I don't know if that's Army or Marines. Black Hawk Down.
Black Hawk Down, I believe, is the Army. The Army. We can check on that. People love that movie, though. That I will allow that to be on the list.
Okay. And for a third, I don't know, man. Those are my favorite too. What's your third?
Well, what's funny is it's not necessarily it's just kind of a war movie. It's 13 Hours in Benghazi. I love that movie.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
I love that movie. But if we want to keep it real, right, and keep it just the Army, I like Full Metal Jacket. That movie's disturbingly good. Disturbingly good. And then the all-time great is Patton.
Yeah,
I love Patton. When Patton asks the chaplain to pray for victory, and he says, "Hey, well, if I pray for victory, it means I'm praying for people to die." And Patton goes, "I expect a prayer on my desk within an hour." I mean, it is so good, dude. It is so good. Listen, those are my favorite. I love any of the war movies. But anyway, if you haven't seen these Army Navy uniforms, you got to check them out. They are legit.
They do a great job. Nike for Army, and then Under Armour for Navy. They do a great job every year with coming up with these crazy, innovative uniforms that recognize a certain portion of the Navy and Army, respectively. So, yeah, you got to love the uniform matchup with this game. It's going to look great.
I love the attention to detail, even on the Navy football, which is an Under Armour football, but it has the sonar like you'd see on like the old Battleship game, Oh, man, it's just the little touches like that, dude. Really, really set it off. Alice's dad was in the Navy. Rest in peace, Dave Young. He was in the Navy during Vietnam. My grandfather was in the Air Force. So since Air Force is not playing in there, we are going to go with Navy. That's going to be my choice.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, Michael, was in the Army for a while. So.
Oh, wow. So here we go. Nice. All right. We're going to have a rooting interest. Oklahoma plays TCU on Friday at 11 a.m. Texas plays Texas Tech Friday night.
Yeah, 6:30.
At DKR. For Texas, we've talked about it. Win and you're in the Big 12. Oklahoma, win and get some help. The more I look at this TCU game, Kevin, and we'll talk about it more in depth when we do the game preview, but I'm getting more concerned about this game the closer we get to it. Like TCU this is going to sound weird, but based on what I'm reading and the studying their schedule and everything, they're like the best 5 and 6 team in the country.
They're a tough team to play against. I mean, you watch that Texas game, right? They got some good players out there. Right? The season has not gone the way that any of us thought it would. but they've got some good players that are capable of making things happen. The concerning thing with OU is the run defense last week. I don't know if it was the injuries, with Stutzman being a little sick, but the BYU running back pretty much did whatever he wanted. And Imani Bailey's a really good running back for them, who's having a good season. So
yeah, he's over
we'll
1,000.
see, though.
He's over
Yeah.
1,000 yards rushing now. Yeah, and we gave up like 189 to the kid at Aiden Robbins at BYU for which inexplicably. I mean, our run defense has been really good all year, and Teddy Lehman was on the radio just a couple hours ago saying, normally he likes to kind of hedge a little bit and talk. He was like, the run defense was terrible. He's like, the linebackers played an absolutely terrible football game. And that's with Danny Stutzman having a strip sack that basically won the game. But, it's just the linebackers have to step up, and we're going to have to see a better defensive performance. BYU was not a good team, and that was a one-touchdown game. And if it wasn't for a miracle return by Billy Bowman, I'm not sure we win that game. We talked about that. For you guys, you got Texas Tech. Texas Tech having a similar season to TCU, almost worse, though. Expectations really high for Tech. Are you like me where you're feeling a little more worried, or do you feel kind of confident after seeing how y'all performed at Iowa State?
I feel confident but concerned, right? Because they have good players. They've got some guys on the defensive line that can get after the quarterback. And I know one of their edge guys, we're not sure if he's going to be playing or not. He's banged up, the Hutchings kid, but Jalen Hutchings. But they've got some guys who can get after the quarterback. So anytime you face a team that can do that, they always get your attention. And, of course, their running back is having a great season, Tosh Brooks.
Yeah, your running back's having a really good season. Their running back is having a really good season. I go back to the fact that they are playing, well, they should be playing free, playing the role of spoiler. This is the last time they'll play Texas for the foreseeable future, similar to kind of how an Oklahoma State played Oklahoma. The difference is it's on the road, man. It's DKR. Quinn's playing with I really feel like a pretty high level of confidence. You're still missing Jonathan Brooks, but Baxter filled in very nicely. This could be this last road game for Worthy, potentially the last road game for A.D. Mitchell, maybe even the last road game for Whittington. Sanders, where's Sanders at?
He's a junior, man. I expect him to be gone too. I told you earlier in the season, man, we're going to lose a lot of players to the NFL, which is why I say it's important to whatever we can do this year, make it happen now, because I don't know how good we're going to be because we're losing so many guys off this team.
What's T'Vondre Sweat?
He's a senior too. He's a fifth-year senior.
Is he really?
Byron Murphy is a draft-eligible junior.
What about Jalen Ford? Jalen Ford,
he's a senior too. Yep.
Oh, you know what? I don't feel bad. Just keep giving me those names because that makes me actually feel a lot better as an Oklahoma fan.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought T'Vondre. I did not realize he was a senior because he has not been this dominant for his 5 years.
He has not. No, we kind of been waiting on it, and I mean, you want to talk about a contract year and he's balled out. He's just put it all together this year. It's been incredible to watch.
Is he going to be a first team? Is he going to be a first round draft pick?
I think he is. I think he's worked his way into the first round. He's
That's
just been too dominant, and his motor, like he plays hard every snap.
Listen, in all seriousness, I apologize to Texas Longhorn fan. I don't really pay attention to your roster, even as the host of the Boomer Bevo podcast. It's just so it's like when something good happens is when I pay attention, or bad or whatever. But in the case of T'Vondre Sweat, I got to tell you, I had no idea the guy was a senior, no clue. Because he was so good. I thought to myself, surely he's like a redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore. Like maybe he's out this year because this guy couldn't have just been sitting on the bench for the last 5 years. That guy is like balled out.
He's been in a rotation the last 3 years, basically, with Keandre Coburn and Moro Ojimo. And yes, he's better than all of those.
He's been in the offensive backfield all year this year. That's what he's been doing. He's had a great year. I'm not going to miss that dude at all. All right. Getting to this week's games, a lot of good games, at least from the names of the opponents. Not the best matchups, but just the rivalry week. It's a great weekend.
There's some important games, man. When it comes to this college football playoff. If you're rooting for chaos, buckle up, man, because we're going to see a lot of it this weekend.
Starting on Thanksgiving Day, you have Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Mississippi State is getting 10.
Well, they call it the Egg Bowl, right?
They call it the Egg Bowl. I
Do you know
call it.
why?
No, please tell me.
I mean, no. I was hoping you knew.
No.
Never cared enough to research it.
I do not know why it's called the Egg Bowl. I know it's called the bowl where the guy, for lack of a better word, pooped out the football and got his coach fired.
He did the dog pee thing. That was Elijah Moore. If you don't remember that, Ole Miss scored a touchdown. They were down by 6. Okay, they were down by 6. He scored a touchdown with less than a minute left, and the impending extra point would have tied the game. So when he scored the touchdown, he got on his knees and lifted his leg to simulate a dog peeing right in front of the ref, who immediately threw a flag for unsportsmanlike conduct, pushed his team 15 yards back for the extra point, and the kicker missed the extra point, and Ole Miss lost the game.
Ole Miss or Mississippi State?
No, Ole Miss. Yeah, Ole Miss lost the game. Elijah Moore was a second-round pick in the NFL draft. To show you what kind of talented player he is, I could not. I watched that live. I had just gotten home from the in-laws on Thanksgiving. We're watching that game. I was like, I can't believe you just did that.
That is one of the funniest football moments of all time. I'll never forget it. So I don't know why it's called the Egg Bowl. It should be the dog pissing on you bowl. All right. Anyway, I think Ole Miss probably rolls. Mississippi State's not any good. On Friday, in addition to the TCU OU game and the Texas game, Iowa at Nebraska. Nebraska is actually a 2.5-point favorite at home. In addition, the over/under. You want to take a guess at the over/under on the Iowa-Nebraska game?
Man, is it even over 30?
26.5, Kevin.
Unbelievable.
26.5.
Yeah.
I don't even understand.
They've already clinched the Big Ten West.
So they are playing the winner. They are playing the winner of Michigan, correct. Ohio State.
It's already set. That's probably why Nebraska is a favorite. And Nebraska might be playing for bowl eligibility or something like that. So
all right. Missouri, we talked about them last week. Missouri is at Arkansas, where they are a 7.5-point favorite. Penn State at Michigan State, 20.5-point favorite. But a game to keep an eye on for the national landscape, especially for Texas fans as they continue to push for a spot in the college football playoff. Oregon State at Oregon. So this is a home game for Bo Nix, a home game for Dan Lanning. They are 13.5-point favorites against Oregon State.
It's a very interesting game, right? The Civil War, there have been some pretty fun moments, right? And Oregon State has had some sneaky good teams over the year. They've had some good players. And we all know what Oregon's about, too. But everything's on the line for Oregon. And that's a team that I've seen routinely step up in these moments, right? I think they would have probably beat Washington if Dan Lanning would have just, gone for it every fourth down throughout the game, right? Oregon State's a good team. I thought they gave Washington all they could handle last week. But, man, the way Bo Nix is playing, it's really hard for me to bet against Oregon, especially playing at home.
I don't know about you, man. My Heisman vote right now is for Bo Nix, and I hate to say that. I just hate Oregon, all the stuff, the Oklahoma stories and all that. And I've never really liked all the Nike money that's gone into Oregon, although I don't know that it matters anymore. You look at these schools across the country. But Bo Nix, unequivocally to me, has put up the best numbers on one of the best teams. And it's not even for Bo Nix. It's not even a career achievement award because he's never been this good. He's never been like on the ballot or, even an underdog. His first year was the most hyped year he had, and he wasn't very good. So to see what he's done this year, it's a standalone performance, and it's been really, really solid. We're going to pick
and
that
also it shows you what, just what experience does for the quarterback position, right? If you look at the quarterbacks that are having the best seasons this year, all these three guys that we talk about for the Heisman. Talk about him, 5th-year senior. Penix, he might be a 6th-year senior.
Yeah.
Right? And then Daniels, 5th-year senior at LSU.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We've seen these experienced guys having these great seasons. So it shows
and you look at Dylan. You look at Dylan Gabriel.
Same.
Dylan Gabriel's having his best year. This is his
By
best
far.
year as a college football quarterback. And, if anybody would have put Dylan's stats up and said, would you take this from Dylan Gabriel this year? Every Oklahoma fan says absolutely yes. And to your point, it's just, he's the biggest question is going to be, has he played his last game? Are we going to see him on Saturday? And we're going to talk about that. On Friday. Speaking of Saturday, the game of the week, becoming routinely probably the most important game in the college football playoff over the last 3 or 4 years, at least to get in addition to like the SEC championship game and the Red River Shootout, is Ohio State at Michigan. Michigan is a 3.5-point favorite. That line tells me they're a favorite because they're at home. That's all they're saying. This is a pick 'em. Jim Harbaugh is not coaching this game. I think that matters.
Absolutely.
I love Michigan's defense, but let's face it. When we say they haven't been, I don't think either one of these teams have been truly tested by really great competition. This is their Washington, Oregon, Texas, Oklahoma, Bama, LSU game, right? Like this is their test right here. Winner goes to the playoff, loser is out. I don't think there's any way the loser gets in.
I completely agree. It'd have to be an incredibly well-played game that's decided on a last-second field goal or something like that for that even becomes a consideration, right? You talk about everything being on the line. Number 2 against number 3. No Jim Harbaugh coaching for Michigan. Ohio State had dominated this rivalry. I think they won 11 straight or something like that.
Yep.
And now Michigan has won the last 2. We talked about how Ohio State as a university, they have fired good coaches for losing consistently to Michigan, right? We all remember John Cooper in the 90s. Guy would go 11-1, 10-2 every year, but he would always lose to Michigan. And guess what? That wasn't good enough. He got fired and replaced him with Jim Tressel. So if Michigan were to win, that would be 3 losses in a row for Ryan Day. And as good as he's been, man, that seat is going to start getting a little bit warm there because those Ohio State fans do not take kindly to losing to Michigan. So there is so much on the line. It's a fascinating game, and I honestly can't wait for it.
I just think that a couple things on the Michigan side. I think JJ McCarthy has to step up and actually play quarterback this game. This isn't Penn State where he gets the benefit of being able to hand it off the entire second half.
You're not going the whole second half without throwing a pass. He's
got to go win the game, and I think that's a really critical part. People keep trying to insert him into the upper elite of quarterbacks. He's not there. We just named him, right? Is he on the next tier? Maybe, but I've given Quinn a hard time. Quinn's so much better than JJ McCarthy. It's not even close. The spread between those two is really, really big. So I think he's got to step up. On the flip side for Ohio State, does Marvin Harrison Jr. have an opportunity to slide in late season to the Heisman conversation with a statement win against Michigan from the wide receiver position?
I think he can, right? He's got the name. He's got the notoriety. He plays at a university like Ohio State. They've got the record, too. They're undefeated. So if he goes out and has one of those 12-catch, 200-yard, 2 or 3 touchdown games and they win, then absolutely I could see that.
Is he the best
he
player?
Would deserve it.
Is he the best player in college football?
I think he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really good, man. He's really good. It's so interesting, right? Because we all remember how good his dad was. He's obviously a Hall of Fame receiver. I'm just wondering where he got his size from. Dad was, what was he, 6 foot, 185?
Yeah.
And, son is 6'3", 220. It's so interesting.
I think if Caleb Williams would have performed, I think if they'd have been winning a little bit more, I still think he's probably the best player in college football. I really think that, but the team was just so bad. But as far as all the good players on good teams conversation, Marvin Harrison Jr. he's just dynamic, man. And he has the ability to carry Ohio State's offense. That's what's so incredible about it. And so to see what Michigan's going to do defensively, this is a really, really spicy matchup, and I'm excited. It's the only Big Ten game I've been looking forward to all year. I can't wait for it. Texas A&M at LSU. Does LSU kick the dog when it's already down?
They better, right? I mean, because their season, they haven't had the type of season that they expected. 3 losses. They did not see that coming before the season. Before the season started. So yeah, they need to finish the season well, get into a good bowl game, and keep that momentum going into recruiting into next year.
Yeah, especially in the bigger SEC now. It's a different ball game. And if you're not going forward, I mean, it's just like with Oklahoma. The difference between 9-3 and 10-2 is
Yes,
it's tremendous.
astronomical. Yes,
So yeah, no, I agree with you. LSU's an 11.5 point favorite. That's at home. Kentucky at Louisville. Here's the deal, dude. Louisville is ranked 10th. I don't think they can win enough games to get in, even if they beat a Florida State because of where Florida State's
I
at.
agree. Now they're already in the championship game. The
I mean, the
ACC
college
championship
football
game
play.
is
I
set.
just don't think
But
there's
yeah, I know
anything
what
they
you're
can.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, to get into the playoff. I agree. I think they're just down a little bit too far.
but it's been a tremendous season for Louisville, and they have a chance to cap it off with a win against Kentucky at home, where they're a 7 point favorite. The aforementioned Navy is at SMU. SMU is an 18 point favorite. Here's the deal. I remember back when Oklahoma struggled against SMU, and we all said, well, SMU is not very good. And then they kind of stayed not very good until I look at their record, and they're 9-2.
Yeah,
Now,
me
their
too.
other wins, they beat bad teams? Okay, sure. They beat 9 bad teams. Well, so has Michigan, right? So that's not it's just they're not as bad as we thought they were when Oklahoma struggled against them.
Agreed.
Let's see. Houston at UCF. UCF's a 13.5 point favorite. Colorado at Utah. Utah is a 22 point favorite. Starting with the Buffaloes, um, win or lose, and they probably lose against Utah, win or lose, despite all the hype from the month of September, will this be a successful season for Coach Prime in his first year at Colorado?
I think it will be. I think they kind of it's weird, right? Because I thought they would have 4 wins before the season. But when the season started, after the first couple games, I'm like, okay, well maybe they'll get up to 8 wins, even.
Yeah.
But it kind of fell apart. I think once teams kind of figured out what they were doing offensively and just realized, hey man, they've got really good guys in the skill positions. They got a really good quarterback, but the offensive line is not good. We can get pressure all day. Shador Sanders is taking too many hits. Flip it around defense, the same thing. Defensive line isn't good. We can run right at them, control the clock. It happened. I still thought that Prime has done a good job. It kind of fell apart last week. Last week was the first time they really got blown out by a team that wasn't just that much more talented than them. They got blown out by Oregon, but that's Oregon. Washington State is not a very good team. I don't think they're much better than Colorado is. So it kind of fell apart then. The only issue I had with Prime was demoting the offensive coordinator. I thought he had done a good job taking away the play calling responsibilities. I thought was a mistake. We'll see. I'm really going to keep an eye on them in the offseason to see how they attack it. I want to see how the recruiting class shapes out. And also want to see how they attack the transfer portal and how they can flip that roster in the trenches. Because if they do that, I still think they got a chance, especially being in the Big 12. The Pac-12 was historically good this year. Going to the Big 12 next year. So we'll see if they can try to make a run in their first year in that conference. So I look forward to seeing how it goes.
Utah is going to join them in the new Big 12, and they are going to join them with Cam Rising. What are your thoughts on Cam Rising getting another year of eligibility, coming back? I don't know, 7th year. It's crazy.
This
Give
is
me some
year
thoughts on
7.
Cam Rising. Yeah, give me
Man,
some
it
thoughts on
seems like
Cam.
so long ago. I mean, I've been living in Oklahoma now for 6 years, right? Moved here, and you know, he was committed to Texas when I moved here.
So he had
You
already
know,
committed.
yeah, he
When
was
was
class of 2018,
okay?
but he had committed by the fall of 2017. Remember, he had committed to OU first,
Yeah, yeah.
and then flipped to Texas, which was one of the most shocking things I've ever seen in recruiting. By the way, we just did not expect that at all. And gets to Texas. It's just crazy, man. How the guys that were playing when his first year of college football, Kyler Murray was a starting quarterback at OU.
So
Remember,
he
Kyler Murray's in his 5th
real
season
quick.
in the NFL.
Correct me if I'm wrong on Cam Rising. He played for Texas. Was he on their roster? I mean, it's
He
just
was on the roster.
it's that far
Correct. He was
ago.
on the roster. In 2018, he was on the roster. He was just buried behind. They had him. They had Ellinger, Casey Thompson, and Cam Rising, all three
And
at
then
the same time.
he transferred to like Florida Atlantic under Kiffin, right? Am I thinking of the
Who
right
you talking
quarterback?
about, Rising?
Yeah.
Or no, he went from Texas to Utah.
Who was the quarterback that went to that was at Florida Atlantic? That was in
Actually,
Oklahoma.
Casey Thompson ended up at. Oh, are you talking about Robinson back in the day?
That must be him. That must be who I'm thinking about.
He transferred from but no, Cam Rising committed to Oklahoma first, then flipped his commitment to Texas, signed with Texas, was at Texas for 1 year. Then he transferred to Utah. He's been at Utah ever since, and he's been their starting quarterback for the last 3 years before the injury. I mean, he's had 2 really bad injuries. That's why he's still eligible to play. Listen, man, if you want to keep playing football, good for him. After all the injuries, I would consider, but again, you only get one opportunity in life to play the sport that you love. So if he wants to do it, hey, good for him. It's just kind of crazy thinking about the guys who were playing college football when he was a freshman. Tua Tagovailoa, Ed Oliver, Devin White, Jonathan Taylor, Quentin Williams, Gardner Minshew. All those guys were playing college football when Cam Rising was a freshman at Texas.
That's unbelievable.
Remember those guys? Kyler's in his 5th year, so he'll be in his 6th year in the NFL next year, and Cam Rising will still be playing college football.
I don't think Cam's going to play in the NFL. I don't think he's that kind of player. But he's a pretty salty college quarterback, and I think if he does come back and he's healthy, Utah's probably your favorite to win the Big 12, right?
They're going to be one of the favorites for sure because we know what they're about, right? It doesn't matter who they have out there. They're pretty consistent with who they are.
Oh, it's just crazy. All right. In the Iron Bowl, we didn't know the name of the Egg Bowl, the origins. Do we have the origins of the Iron Bowl?
I don't know.
No, neither do I.
No idea.
Alabama at Auburn. Auburn a 14.5-point dog coming off a devastating loss to New Mexico State.
They got beat down too. That's you know what I mean. It's not like they lost on it wasn't like an App State Michigan thing when they lost on the last second field goal in the first game of the year. They lost by 3 touchdowns at home.
I don't even want to know what Milroe is going to do to them. Like that kid just keeps coming on. Jalen Milroe just keeps coming on, and he could have 9 touchdowns against Auburn.
And the Alabama defense, man, they look good.
And listen, dude, Saban will run it up. He doesn't care. Saban understands that this is a dog and pony show at this point in the year. He's not just going to win and then put his subs in.
Trying to get into the playoff.
Yeah, no, he'll absolutely run it up. Arizona, another in-state rivalry game. Arizona at ASU. ASU is a 10.5 point. Yeah, it's only a 10.5-point line though. ASU's getting 10.5 at home.
Is it at Tempe? Okay, it's at Tempe.
It's at Tempe, but still, man.
The way that offense has been, they've had a great season.
I'd take the Wildcats. Vanderbilt at Tennessee. Tennessee's a 27-point favorite. Games that matter in the Big 12, both for Oklahoma and for Texas, more so for Oklahoma. BYU at OSU. OSU is a 17-point favorite. I don't know, dude. A lot for Oklahoma depends on BYU winning this game. I just don't see it, man. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think after what happened last week, I think they're going to watch that tape against OU and say, okay, we this is serious now. We got to bring it against this BYU team, right? I don't know what BYU's motivation is going to be at this point, besides just playing hard, just pride, right? I don't know what their record is. Are they trying to fight for a bowl game? Do they have 5? They have 5 wins, right? They could be. Yeah, they could be fighting for a bowl game. There's a lot on the line, man. It would be monumental. It would be a monumental collapse for Oklahoma State to lose this game. But it is Oklahoma State, right? And it is Mike Gundy, so you never know.
It is Oklahoma State, and the weather forecast looks pretty crappy. It looks okay on Friday, but looks really pretty crappy on Saturday for Stillwater. So maybe some wet weather, maybe we get some fumbles, some turnovers. But Oklahoma fan, I don't feel like this is – I think our better chance was Houston, and it was a chance for over half the game.
It was. It looked like Houston had it. And, let's remember, too, BYU is not great at stopping the run. Your running backs look good against them, and they've got Ollie Gordon.
And Ollie Gordon, yeah. Best running back in the country, Ollie Gordon?
I think so, man. I love my guy Jonathan Brooks. So since the injury, Ollie Gordon, he's been tremendous all year. Once they started to give him the ball, make him the focal point of the offense.
Well, look what happens when they give Gavin Sawchuk the ball. He looks really good too. That's amazing what happens when you just run him. But whatever. That's
he was banged
thing.
up though, right? I'm not trying to defend Jeff Levy, but he was banged up, right, for the first few games. I think he was.
Okay, we'll go with
if
that.
He's not healthy, he can't run. You know what I mean?
No, you're fine. Sure, that's fine. But I still contend run the ball. But anyway, Washington
You're not going to
State.
get any arguments with me on that from saying run the ball. Trust me.
Washington State at Washington. Washington's 16.5-point favorite. I think Washington goes ahead and wins this game. Although it's a rivalry game, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and the Washington State offense is pretty explosive with Cam Ward, but too much on the line. Washington has come through all season long. I don't see that changing now.
This has major college football playoff implications, and it's going to take place with dual backup quarterbacks facing each other. Florida State at the Swamp against Florida. Florida's a 6.5-point dog. Florida State will be down Jordan Travis, and in his stead will be Tate Rodemaker. And then Florida is down Graham Mertz with a broken collarbone. In his stead is Max Brown, actually from Tulsa, Oklahoma, who's seen limited time. Rodemaker's at least started a couple games, most famously the loss against Jacksonville State in 2020. Max Brown not really starting a lot of games. This is going to be really interesting. This is a game that Texas, for the college football playoff, if they go ahead and win Friday night, when you're sitting back and watching this game on Saturday night, you are actively rooting for the Florida Gators.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I feel like if Graham Mertz was playing this game, I might be a little tempted to pick Florida because if you get the kind of effort that they gave last week against Missouri, but this could be one of those culture games for Florida State, right? They say, okay, we're down our quarterback, but we still have really good players. Coach is going to come up with a game plan to get the ball to those playmakers. Keon Coleman on the outside, Trey Benson at running back, and see if they can handle their business. Again, Florida, it's going to be tough for a backup quarterback, though, being in that environment. I think Florida, especially when Florida is playing well, the Swamp is possibly the loudest stadium in the country when they're going. So, and it's a rivalry game, so Florida fans are going to be there and they're going to be fired up. So it's a game I'm looking forward to watching.
Well, let's plan on picking that game. 6.5-point spread. Closing out the week, Notre Dame at Stanford, West Virginia, Baylor, Georgia, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, NC State, and Iowa State at Kansas State. Which Iowa State at Kansas State has some implications there. If K-State can get a loss and OSU gets a loss, then it's just a lot of different factors there. Iowa State is actually still alive. If Iowa State wins against Kansas State and 19 other things happen, Iowa State's in the Big 12 championship game. So
it's so bizarre, man. This whole year,
it's weird. All right, let us pick 3 games here. Here's your choices, okay, Kevin? And I'm going to let you pick the first one. We got Oregon State against Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, BYU, OSU, Washington State, Washington, Florida State, Florida. Which one do you want to pick?
We got to do Ohio State, Michigan.
Have to. 3.5-point at Michigan. Who is your pick?
You know what, man? I've had a lot of trouble with this, and I'm going back and forth. You can make reasonable arguments for both teams, but I'm going with Ohio State.
I, too, am going with Ohio State, and I am going to call it the revenge game for the last 2 years, the revenge game for Signgate, and the fact that Harbaugh is not there. And I just don't know that J.J. McCarthy can give them enough offense to beat Ohio State. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. has a big game. I am going with Ohio State to win and cover.
I want to see how they defend him. I love the corner they have, Will Johnson, 5-star corner for Michigan. I want to see if they have him follow Marvin Harrison around, or do they just play, hey, you play on the left side, I play on the right side. I'm curious to see how they defend him. Obviously, Ohio State has other weapons, right? They've got 5-star at every receiver position, but Marvin Harrison is absolutely that dude. So I just want to see if they bracket coverage to him, or they just let Will Johnson cover him one-on-one, or how they defend him. It'll be a fascinating match.
Dude, if it's me, it's Will Johnson and a bracket, right? I mean, I think you got to say in a lot of ways, if you're, Michigan thinks they're really good at defense, and they are. So maybe
Yeah.
they think their fundamental baseline defense can handle it. So taking that off the table, that they are really, really good at defense, I think there has to be an element of don't let this guy beat us, right? Make somebody
Agreed.
else beat us, which is a weird thing to say. It's easier to say in basketball than it is in football, but still, you just, golly, make somebody else make that big catch. You know,
Correct.
you saw it last night in the Eagles Kansas City game when you took Kelsey out and you said, okay, we're making 84 make the catches. Well, 84 didn't make the catches and they lost.
No.
You know, and so it's just kind of, it's interesting. I agree with you though in Ohio State. All right, I want to pick Florida State. It's going to be really, really hard to pick this game. It's going to be a weird spread. Florida State is playing to stay alive. Florida is playing for pride and to beat Florida State. What are your thoughts? Who do you want to go with?
Florida, you know what, man? Like I said just a minute ago, if Mertz was playing, I may take Florida. But no, I'm going to bet on Florida State and the culture that they're building there. So I'm going to go
take
FSU
to cover the 6.5.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I like, man, Keon Coleman, man, the receiver. Look out. I think he's going to have a huge game.
I like Florida to cover but lose. I'm going to take Florida State to win the game, but I think Florida at home, backup quarterback, can keep this to like a 27-24 kind of game. Even a 30-24 game kind of gets you still in that cover spot. So I'm going to go with Florida to cover but lose the game.
Mike Norvell's been building, man, this program for a few years now. So we'll really get to see what they're about from a Florida standpoint.
Florida can't. Speaking of culture, they can't stand Billy Napier. They cannot stand him. They want, they're.
Oh, do they want him out? I haven't really heard the pulse from Florida fan this year.
Yeah, no, they just don't like the direction they're going. They expected so much more improvement. You know, you think about coaches in their second year, right? We saw Sark with improvement in his second year, Venables improvement in his second year. When you don't see that improvement in your second year, and you think about it from a Florida standpoint, okay, you're going to lose to Georgia. Everybody loses to Georgia. But it's the other games that you're losing that you just can't believe is happening. And so I kind of, I can see where Florida's coming from.
I get it. Yeah. You got to see improvement.
Okay.
They're still recruiting well, though, which is surprising. We'll see if they can hold on to that recruiting class because year 3, the dream selling is over and we got to see results.
You're left. I'm going to let you pick the last game. We got the Washington game, the BYU OSU game, and the Oregon State Oregon game. What do you want to pick?
Let's do the Civil War, Oregon and Oregon State.
Okay, Oregon is a 13.5-point favorite at home. I think Bo Nix balls out. And I think they cover the 13.5 against a good Oregon State team. They send a message to the college football playoff that says Oregon is for real and basically daring you to leave them out if they are able to beat Washington. I'm going with Oregon to cover.
I completely agree, man. I think they make a statement. They made statements all year. Again, if they hadn't gone for it, 50 times on 4th down against Washington, they're probably undefeated right now and already sitting in the top 4. So, yeah, I think they handle their business. Again, like you said, a good Oregon State team. They have a good defense. They have a good coach. But, man, Oregon's on a mission this year.
For the record, everybody, in case you're keeping track at home, Kevin is 36-22-2 on the year. And I am over 500 at 30-28-2, and I feel pretty good about that. Kevin is 36-22-2, betting against the spread, including having to pick Oklahoma and OSU every single week. I mean, Oklahoma and Texas every single week. That is a pretty impressive feat, Kevin. Well
Thank you, sir.
Done.
Thank you.
If you want to see other impressive feats, you want to give Brown O'Haver a call in case you've had a loss to your insurance, a loss that's caused you to file insurance, whether it's to your home or your business. If you've had a property loss that you've had to file insurance with, you're going to want to call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. They handle insurance claims for fire, wind, theft, tornado, hail, vandalism, whatever the case may be. Here's the thing. It is Thanksgiving week. There's going to be some losses. You have family in your house. You've got little kids. You've got drunk uncles, whatever the case may be. They're going to knock stuff over. They're going to burn stuff down. There is the chance for disaster at every family event this week. I guarantee it. If you have a disaster that results in an insurance loss and it's Thanksgiving and you don't want to mess with it, you want to give Brown O'Haver a call. 405-735-5510. We are there for you in your time of need, especially in the holidays. So if you've had a loss or you have a loss coming up, give Brown O'Haver a call. 405-735-5510. Kevin, Texas Tech has coming to Austin. Brett Yormark will be there actively rooting for the Red Raiders. The Red Raiders have spoiled your season before when you've been really, really good. I think of 2008. Do they spoil your season in 2023?
Man, I certainly hope not, right? I hope that we just come out and unleash hell on Texas Tech. That would be my hope. Now, this team, you know how they are, right? They either come out hot and then slow down, or it's the opposite. They come out flat and then pick it up later. But my hope is that, it's the last home game of the year, senior night. Texas Tech has been annoying, thorn on our side for the last few years. They've been talking crap in the offseason. The coach has been, the commissioner has been. So hopefully we just make a statement and just crush these fools, man. Because I'm just kind of getting tired of playing them. I'm glad we don't have to deal with them after this year.
I'm glad we didn't have to play Texas Tech this year at all because they're just an annoying little gnat of a school that I can't stand. And number two, this game there's no shortage of bulletin board material for you guys. The trash talk that came out of Lubbock this summer, it was ridiculous when we thought Texas Tech was going to be good, right?
Agreed.
I mean, it was ridiculous then to talk about that were at any point on par with Texas or Oklahoma in terms of how they contributed to the success of the Big 12, especially in football, was an absolute and utter joke. Does that mean I'm rooting for Texas this week to beat Texas Tech? Probably not. However, it won't bother me if you go ahead and beat down Texas Tech. It will not bother me if you beat down Texas Tech. They were ridiculous.
McGuire, I've complimented. I think he's a really good coach. The season has not gone the way that they hoped, and that most of us thought it would go. They've had quarterback injuries. They've had 3 different quarterbacks start games this year, and but again, in the offseason, he's like, well, they're good at Olympic sports, saying that about Texas, and the commissioner saying to the booster club that, I'll be there on Thanksgiving, so make sure you guys handle business on that day. It's like, what are you talking about? You're the commissioner of the entire conference, which includes Texas for this year. So it was crazy unprofessional by him. So yeah, we've got plenty of bulletin board material. We saw how the defense played last week after what the Iowa State offensive lineman was saying, right? And they got pushed around in the trenches all game long. Hopefully it's the same thing this week. I am a little bit concerned, right? We talked about this a little bit earlier. Taj Brooks is having an incredible season. He's got almost 1,400 yards rushing, right? He's a big physical running. He bounces off contact. So you really got to bring it when you tackle him. You can't be trying to, do these little weak arm tackles. You got to body him up and wrap him up and bring him down to the ground because he's a really strong runner. They've got some guys who can get after the quarterback too. And again, that's always concerning when you have a team that has multiple guys that can get after the quarterback. So I'll be looking for that. But like I said this weeks ago, the biggest opponent for Texas is Texas, right? If we're at our best, we could beat anybody that's on our schedule. I still believe that, and it's the same way with Texas Tech, man. So as long as we're at our best, we should beat Texas Tech, and we could beat them handily if we are.
Okay. Are you a good enough team that's in the back of Sark's mind? He's thinking, I've got to send a statement to the College Football Playoff Committee with a big win. Are y'all good enough, or is he just trying to win the game?
He's trying to win the game, but I think if we get ahead, this might be the one game where he says, you know what, no, let's just keep going. Let's just keep attacking. Because if there's a chance that we can get into the playoffs, let's go for it, right? But again, my biggest thing, win the game, get to Arlington, there's going to be chaos, right? There's going to be teams above us that lose either this week or next week. So for me, win the game. But if you're up, you got a chance to get some style points. Go for it.
I'm going to pick you to win the game. Clearly, the line is 10. Listen, I know it's an early pick here, but I'm picking you to cover. I'm going to pick Texas to cover the game. I just think bulletin board material. Last game of the Big 12 at DKR. The team is playing with a lot of confidence. They know what's on the line. There's no overlooking. This is the last game of the regular season. There's no overlooking this game. I think y'all know how important it is to go ahead and win the game and win it big. I've got you covering the spread.
I do too. I know they run the ball very well, but our strength is stopping the run, right? One of the best defenses in the country at stopping the run. Best in the conference, one of the best in the country. I think this is a big Tavondre Sweat, Byron Murphy game, Alfred Collins game. I think we slow Brooks down. I don't know if we shut him down, but I think we slow him down enough. I think we make some plays against their defense. And yeah, we take care of business and get ready for Arlington, man. It'll be nice.
Okay. At a Texas senior night, does Texas honor juniors that are leaving early? Will Xavier Worthy get up? Will Xavier Worthy get up?
I know that Byron Murphy is being honored. I did hear that. I'm not
really?
sure about Xavier Worthy. I think we should. I think they should go ahead and honor him and Jatavian Sanders, because I don't expect either one of those guys to be back next year. And again, in the grand scheme of it, it hurts us for next season, but in the grand scheme of things, that's a good problem to have. That means you're developing your guys quickly, and that's a recruiting tool, right? When you're sending juniors to the NFL, that means you're going to keep getting 5-star guys to replace them. So I'm okay with it.
Because ultimately they want to go to the NFL. All right, yeah, I agree.
They all want to go to the NFL.
Oklahoma takes on TCU. I think, this is a Dylan Gabriel game if he plays, where he's looking for a little redemption against TCU last year for kind of derailing that season. But that's really the big question. Does Dylan Gabriel play? Does Jalil Farouk play? According to the Brent Venables press conference, he said that if they continue to progress, they'll be available. A lot of people on Oklahoma's side read into that they're playing. I'm not so sure about that. This is still concussion world. Nothing's changed over the last 4 or 5 years. He's had them before, specifically for Dylan Gabriel. He's had concussions before. I'm just not 100% convinced on a short week that we're going to see Dylan Gabriel play. And it sucks. It sucks for him. It sucks for Oklahoma. I really, really hope he gets to play. And this isn't saying I still think we can beat TCU with Jackson Arnold. I saw a lot of good things from Jackson Arnold. If he's got a week to prepare as a starter at home, not a hostile environment, this isn't necessarily about winning or losing. Although I think DG gives us our best chance to win. It really sucks for what he's done for Oklahoma over the last 2 years if he doesn't get to play in this game.
No, I completely agree. And like you said, we saw some good things from Arnold. I think he's going to be a great quarterback for you guys in the future. But for this game, Dylan Gabriel gives you the best chance to win.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about an inexperienced freshman, a very talented one, but inexperienced. You want DG out there. And like you said, senior day, he deserves to be out there for what could and should be, right? His last game for OU. Has there been any talk about him potentially coming back for another year? I think he could get a waiver for it if he wanted to. Or does he say, I want to go try the NFL? Well, I mean, I think he's still going to have the COVID year.
Wow, that is crazy. Golly, that'd be nuts.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know what Utah fans going through. I don't know who they've got on the shelf to replace him. Clearly, nobody was out there this year that made you want to, you want Cam Rising back. I think Oklahoma fan probably wants Jackson Arnold going to the SEC, right? Don't we? I think we do. I mean, but Dylan, another year though with an adult grown man playing quarterback, maybe he handles the SEC better. It's a fascinating question. He's probably at best a good backup. Maybe makes a roster in the NFL, right? But
yeah, why not? Yeah, I think he should go try to make the NFL. I think he's put some good things on tape. Right, he's got some weaknesses, of course, like every quarterback does. But why not give it a shot? He might just be sick of playing college football, man. Was he a 5th-year or 6th-year guy?
Yeah, I don't know. On TCU, I guess the guys we got, there's 3 we got to watch out for. On their defensive side, Dominic Williams is their defensive line. Teddy Lehman was very high on this guy and called him the strongest player in college football, which is high praise coming from Ted Lehman. He was talking about in the game against you guys, just throwing Kelvin Banks around on your offensive line, that this guy is just really, really, really strong. So that's a concern for us, being able to run the ball and pass protect, especially if it's Jackson Arnold. And then John Hoover, who's been in for Chandler Morris against Baylor. He went 24 of 29 for 412 yards. It is Baylor, but that's a lot of, that's a good throwing quarterback. And it's going to be interesting to see if they put Chandler Morris and Hoover in to kind of throw a wrinkle. Morris is the more athletic quarterback, or if they just kind of go with this Hoover guy because he's the hot hand right now. And the big receiving target, tight end Jared Wiley, who you tell me scored in the Red River shootout for Texas in 2021. So clearly a pretty good player. Why did he transfer?
I don't know if it was playing time. We had JT Sanders coming up. So I'm not sure if he was kind of threatened by that or he just wanted a fresh start. He was recruited by Herman. He was part of his teams there in 2018. So yeah, I'm not sure, but he's been a good player for them. I think he's a guy who has an NFL future. And it's interesting because Tom Herman said that when he was a freshman. But yeah, he's a good player. And also Savion Williams, big physical wide receiver, 6'5". He's a good player too. He made some plays again. We had some trouble with him in that second half. So you got to watch out for him. And their running back, Amani Bailey, is having a really good season. He's over 1,000 yards. So we saw what the run defense did against BYU. So you got to hope that whatever happened with that inside zone that they were running, that you guys have got it sorted out. Because you can't have him getting loose.
I'll tell you, the weird thing for me to think about as I look at this game, I was preparing for this game, is it's the last regular season game. A lot of things have to go right for OU to play another meaningful game. This could be the last season. This could be the last time we see Danny Stutzman on the field in a Sooner uniform. Billy Bowman potentially, although I don't know.
He's playing this season, man. I don't know, man. I mean, NFL scouts have got to be on notice with his playmaking and his speed.
I agree. And because we're talking about your guys leaving, right? We're talking about Worthy and Tavondre Sweat and all those dudes. But y'all got meaningful games ahead, right? They're going to be playing in, at least one more. We think they're going to play in a Big 12 championship game and then potentially a college football playoff. So you have games left for those guys. There's a very real chance, and I'm not being pessimistic about us not making it to the Big 12. I don't see it.
Well, it's not in your control. That's why you're thinking that way.
Stutzman, Bowman, Dylan Gabriel, Walter Rouse, Woody Washington. It's a lot, dude. And it's funny because so much of it's on the defensive side of the ball where we finally feel like we've gotten good. We finally feel like, oh man, we've shown an improvement. And you lose right up the middle with Stutzman and Bowman, and then you lose Woody Washington. He's been a lockdown corner for us in a lot of ways.
He's been your most steady guy for years.
Is he an NFL guy?
I think so.
You think he's a leave early NFL guy, or do you think he's a one more year
NFL guy? He's a senior, isn't he?
I don't think so, man. I think he's a junior.
No, I'm pretty sure he was out there in the 2020.
But don't they all
shootout game that I went to? Now, I know he gets an extra year if he wants it, but 2020 he was at least a freshman.
Well, let's see what.
I'm pretty sure he picked off Ellinger in that game.
Yeah, you're right. No, he played 4 games in 2019. He played in 4 games, so that means he probably kept his. That means he kept his red shirt, right?
Yeah, he could have kept his red shirt. I think that rolls around then.
Yeah, so 2020, 2021, he only played 6 games. 2022, and then
he's already been there 5 years. This is his 5th year now, so he's gone, man. He could come back, but why would he? And
so here's the deal, right? If Oklahoma goes to the Alamo Bowl, I I don't see a scenario. I mean, I don't think they need to play.
No, I mean, unless y'all somehow end up playing against USC, which I don't see. But if that were the case, then you better believe you guys are going to play.
I think they would
You
play
better
against
believe they
USC.
play. Yeah,
I
of
think they
course.
I think they'd figure out a way
And
to play against USC.
listen, I'm all over that game if that
Uh,
happens.
I would
I'm all
salivate.
over it, man.
I
It
would
would be,
salivate to get to play against USC.
yeah,
I don't think. I mean, the Alamo Bowl is usually like the second place Pac-12 team. Like
yeah.
they'd have to jump Oregon or Washington, Utah,
Well, you would think
hell,
Oregon, Washington, one
even
of them
Oregon
gets into the
State.
college football playoff. Okay, here's the thing. I think, yeah, that's true. You think Oregon, one of them, Oregon or Washington gets into the college football playoff. The other one is probably going to get an at-large bid to the New Year's Six game, maybe the Fiesta Bowl, whatever.
Okay.
Then that's when you start choosing from there. So you have
I
Oregon
mean,
State.
Oregon State and UCLA, right? Isn't UCLA
Mhm.
bowl eligible? It'd be really hard to go over. I mean, hell, even Arizona. Even Arizona
Yeah.
probably has a better shot
hmm
at it. So
But man, if they have a chance,
they'll do it. They'll
they'll
do it.
set it up. Yeah.
They'll do it. And I
Correct.
think you're right. I do think that. I think Stutzman for sure is the kind of player that plays in a game like that. He's psychotic.
Yeah, I think most of you guys will, because I
Yeah.
don't think there's any love lost between most of your former players and Lincoln Riley. I don't think they like the way he left, and I don't blame you guys at all for that.
Do you think does Caleb Williams play in any kind of bowl game, or is he done? Have you heard
I
anything?
can't see it, man. I can't see it. And I don't think he should. What does he have to gain at this point?
I don't even think he plays against Oklahoma. I don't think there's any reason for him to play a game.
No reason to play even against Oklahoma. I don't. He's got no beef with Oklahoma.
No,
You
no. I
know.
mean, yeah, we've talked
So
about it.
yeah, there's no no. I see no reason at
Oh,
all for him
all right.
to
Let's pick this
win a
Oklahoma
bowl
game.
game.
Let's pick this Oklahoma game real quick. It's 10 points. I'm picking TCU to cover. OU to win.
Okay.
TCU covers. I think it's inside the 10. I could see this game being 30. I think it could be another like what you had against BYU, 31-24, something like that. I could easily see that again, even though we're at home. I'm going TCU. OU wins. TCU covers.
You know what? I'm actually going to pick you guys to cover because I think this would be a game for your running game. I think your running game really goes off against him. Brooks had a good game against TCU before the injury, and I think you guys kind of get them. You guys have incorporated some GT counter into your scheme as of late. I think it's been giving teams trouble. So I think you give them some fits with some of your counter stuff. I think Sawchuk and Walker both have good games for you guys. And you guys actually end up covering. You might be a late cover, but I think you guys cover.
Well, hey, with your record, I'm going to trust you over me. So hopefully you are correct. I'm going to trust you over me. Kevin, it's Thanksgiving, it's football, it's food. Just to pick on the
Family.
corny. Yeah, who are you now? Are you going to be with? You're going to be with your wife's family?
Correct. Yeah, I'll be here with the in-laws. I'm
What
making a
is
turkey this year.
what is the weirdest thing they cook that the first Thanksgiving you were with them, you were like, what's happening?
You know, there's this thing. It's like an orange. I forget what they call it. I think it's like an orange salad where it's like oranges and I don't know if it's like Cool Whip and some cottage cheese or something like that. And apparently it's really good. It's nothing I had ever seen before. So that would have to be it.
Okay, you're going to need to post that on Twitter because that recipe sounds very odd. That sounds.
That might not be the right ingredients, but I'm gonna have to ask what's in it. But that was something that they had that I had never seen before.
Alice's family, they've got a big dish that is pork and sauerkraut. They love pork and sauerkraut on Thanksgiving. Now they eat the turkey too, but they have pork and
Okay.
sauerkraut.
How now when you say pork, how is this pork prepared?
It's kind of
Is it
like
like pulled pork or is it like pork
no,
chops?
it's kind of like almost like pork sausages. So it's like
Oh,
like,
okay.
but they're kind of like cut up, right? So it's like pork chunks, but it's like cooked in a
Gotcha.
steam cook. It's like cooked in a steam cooker, and I like it. It's not. It's just not Thanksgiving though for me. Like I'm a very
Understandable.
traditional. Like give me the turkey. You know, when my family moved to Louisiana, their big deal was they loved to fry the turkey, right? The deep fried turkey.
That's good though, man. If you can get that,
It's good. You know what? It is good, but it's like, I don't know, man. I
it's
can't.
not Thanksgiving. So how
I want to
do you
throw
like
gravy
just
on it.
roast
I
it?
want the gravy and the mashed potatoes um and the stuffing. I want all that stuff. I don't want to like for Christmas, you do whatever you want for Christmas. We like to do steaks on
Agreed.
Christmas Eve. We do Mexican food sometimes on Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
That's when you can get weird. Thanksgiving, this is America. All right. Like there are certain things you eat, and I don't know that you need to deviate from that. That's just me though.
I
I'm a
agree.
traditionalist.
Yeah, we keep it traditional too, man. We got the turkey. I'll be doing that. I'm gonna throw it into a brine actually tonight.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, man. You gotta brine it. You go to Thanksgiving and the turkey's dry and bland. Can't have that, man. You gotta put it into a brine. Some
Really?
salt
Okay, really
water and
quick,
some other
guys.
stuff, spices and stuff.
If you're listening to this and maybe on Wednesday getting ready for Thanksgiving, it sounds like you're gonna be a day late because we're recording this Tuesday night. You're saying when we're done recording this on Tuesday night, you are already beginning to brine the turkey.
Correct. I gotta go prepared. It's
Wow.
like salt, yeah, salt, brown sugar, um, orange peel, lemon peel, peppercorns, all that. You boil it, stir all the ingredients in, let it cool down. I got this special bucket. You put the turkey in there, pour the brine over it so it's fully submerged. It'll be in that until Thursday morning when I wake up early and throw it on the old smoker and let it go.
Well, you're smoking the turkey. This is not oven roasted. We're smoking this bad boy.
Yeah, I mean you can roast it, but why not? Why not throw it on the smoker? It's just a regular electric smoker, so I'm not sitting out there, watching the fire for 10 hours. I'm not that
Um,
hardcore with it.
yes, I know, but see, I've known you now for about 6 or 7 years, and you've progressively gotten more and more hardcore. So to say that you're like at some point not going to put it on a 10-hour smoker, I think is a little unrealistic because there could be a situation where next Thanksgiving we're having this conversation and you're talking about a 10-hour smoker and brining this thing like 3 weeks prior.
3 weeks, I think that'd be a little much, but I'm going a day and a half, so it'll
Hey,
be on
dude,
probably what's it 8:45, so I'll probably have it on by 10:30, and yeah, it'll be there till Thursday morning, probably around 7 or so.
dude, that sounds sounds really good. I will be in San Antonio, Texas, actually just outside in Helotes. And our big family thing, when it's my side of the family, is pie night. So there will be, no joke, I'll put the over under at like 12 and a half pies, which is way more than we're going to
Whoa!
eat.
And
Way more
are
than
these
we're going
are
to eat.
all these homemade pies, or these some of these
Homemade
store
pies.
bought?
Homemade pies.
Okay,
The only thing that'll be store bought is the gluten-free crusts that I had to go to the store and buy, and I will be transporting in a cooler down to Texas. Everything else is homemade, dude. It'll be homemade coconut cream, homemade chocolate cream, homemade yeah, probably not homemade pumpkin. There's a pretty good chance that'll be out of a can. But all those other pecan, Alice makes a
it's still
mean
homemade
pecan
though.
pie.
It's still homemade. If you take it out of the can, you stir up the ingredients, you put it into a crust, and you bake it. To me, that's still homemade.
It will
That's
be
just my
home
opinion.
cooked for sure. It'll be home cooked
Yeah.
for sure. But the rest of the pies will be homemade. Like we're talking from scratch. We're talking about like meringue. Like where you're stirring the meringue and
Oh,
getting that
okay.
thing
Like you're
fired up.
actually making the meringue with the egg whites and
Oh
everything. Okay.
no, we're not joking around here. So that's the one thing that my family does take some very serious pride in is pie night. My pie that I will be responsible for is the pizza pie that I will order from Domino's and have delivered. So that's
Very
my
important.
contribution to pie night is pizza
Very
pie
important.
on Wednesday night. Kevin, you got my taste buds flowing actually with that turkey, dude. So you might need to save a little bit of that for me. We might watch some football together on Saturday since both of our teams will be done, but I'll be
Yeah, let's
back
do
in
it.
town. Everybody else, have a happy Thanksgiving, a safe Thanksgiving, and enjoy the football. I can't believe the regular season's almost done. It's been a hell of a year, but it's been a fun year. Kevin, you be safe. You enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em. Almost said hook 'em. Boomer.
Okay.